over to Sharp. We'll feel like we need proper restitution for drama damage. Reparation. I love you all very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for the wonderful stream. Take care.
You stay here. Lock this gate when I leave.
Good idea. Get me out of here! You rescued the wrong warden. He's an imposter. You know how many creeps are in this place.
Alrighty.
Free tattoos, I suppose.
You threw them far and you threw them and they went far and were unpredictable. Sounds like I missed out on some stuff. Oh, okay. As soon as I said it, you missed out. Okay. Alright, well, I guess it did. Walked in on my husband and checked the cause back. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Cat's black. That cat doesn't. Cat's just like, yeah, whatever. Cats are so agreeable sometimes.
I can't want that.
I hope Kroger is prepared for the mad rush to catch this thing. It was $4 now.
So what was it that gave it away? The big red glowing question mark?
Unbelievable. Locked in low pricing. Funny. Okay. My grandma talked about its Peppa in the cabinet. It said sell by August 29th, 1999. Now come on, that pepper's probably still good. There's no reason to throw that pepper away. We all know they put the dates on there.
I want to keep the peppermint old. But you know what I found? I found these tortillas that were so old. The flour.
Damn. Well, they didn't get moldy or anything?
No, I laughed so hard.
They just turned back into flour
They
and
looked
gave up.
absolutely ridiculous. I laughed so hard.
They just... yeah. I'm trying to think of something. Open. So, I usually have pretty... I mean, you know, my spice, I did have some spice. I had this big of like Italian spice. I don't know what it is. It's called Italian spice. But it was in the
Thanks
bag.
for checking out the stream.
One of the ones you get from like Costco or something. Anyway, I bought it a long time ago, and it was all the little containers were in front. And I always would, you know, since it was in the back of, if you're in the back of the cabinet,
You're lost forever.
You're lost forever. So one day I decided, I want to try some of that Italian spice, something. And I went to grab it, and I noticed it was like hard as a rock. So I opened up, and I took like a knife, and I started like chisel at it. Come on, baby, give me some spice. And then finally I was like, I shut the lid, and I just started beating it on the counter, trying to break it off. And I did, I broke it up, but it was these big hunks of Italian spice. So I was like, I finally said, okay, I'm not using it, you know. I thought I could. I tried really hard. I thought I could break it down, like make it, you know, powder.
Yeah, I've done that before. Like a lot of times, like garlic powder, onion powder will get hard.
You know, Pat, I always thought there was a spark between us.
Wait, you start pouring the whole turning it, twisting it.
Well, now, there it is.
It's enough. You'll survive.
I know, you're shocked. Come and get me, Babs.
Mom, can you help me carry some shopping bags inside? We've all done this. Every one of us now. Not the high heel. But like, you know, your sister's slippers.
Grab someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
Fuck.
What? It was a baby shoe. God.
For me, it was, they were all too big.
Why don't you just go get a gun and shoot them?
I just put those on there. Big yeah.
More firepower over here.
Biggest weirdo.
Her pepper?
I don't know.
Or her tortillas?
I don't think. Oh, tortillas. Might be. Oh, sorry. I'm fine. Yeah, sorry. I do.
Hey, man, go easy on my boy.
I usually eat the same. Sometimes I just want, like this one, taco. I always intend to make this.
You gotta eat your tortilla. Eat it. Like a basic tortilla. Do you ever eat your stuff like your corn tortillas? Do you eat corn or tortillas? Okay, that's flour.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to bite into it?
Fuck.
And they're all chewy and gross, yeah.
No, man. No. They're like, die on one of those. You cannot
Little
chew.
that's asleep at
They
me.
break off the
Someone
shard
finish him off.
and get the back of your throat. No.
Maybe yours are too old because it's supposed to happen.
Listen. Well, I don't keep the corn ones in the refrigerator. I keep them in the cabinet, but it says on the thing to heat them up. And for, you know, and if you get them really fresh, but like if you wait
You know, Pat, I always thought there was a spark between us.
Having trouble forcing yourself to stay home? Shave off.
Well, now,
Shave your eyebrows.
there is.
Goodness.
You guys are idiots. They're guns everywhere.
Like, that would be a good excuse.
Maybe this isn't old.
I'm gonna pulverize you.
That's not fair,
Talk about it. Somebody.
Like,
Jesus. By the way, as they used to be, I don't know.
I like those things that like not it seems like for a while all the cars were away from the I've always thought I like those.
I had my 70.
Was that as easy as it looked?
Dots.
Well, it won't be so easy trying to catch me.
What the heck is a dachshund?
A dotson. You don't know what a dotson is? That's the OG Nissan.
Oh, okay.
Datsun and actually there was both Datsun and Nissan. Then Nissan bought Datsun and they changed it. But yeah, I had a car.
Yeah, there's a couple of car companies that don't exist anymore. They changed to be something else.
I always think about getting a different color car, like something else. But like in Texas, your you're just so much better off with a white car.
Oh
Absolutely.
no, not up here. You'd get the salt and slush from the road on it.
Yeah.
It gets dirty really fast. So white and black are bad for the snow, as far as like how it looks.
Well, here, down in here in Texas, the reason why is it's so hot that black cars, I mean, I had the opportunity to drive a black car in the middle of the summer one time and got in and I literally couldn't, it just really absorbs a lot more heat, man. I don't know who's ever done, like, let me look that question up. How much heat does a black car absorb? Because there is a difference, and it's definitely measurable.
I know, the interior of mine is black for some reason. So you touch the steering wheel, burn your hands. Try to put your seatbelt on, burn yourself. It's bad. And we don't even get that hot, so.
When they measured the interior temperature after a few hours, they discovered the theory rang true. Black cars' cabin measured a scorching 130 degrees Fahrenheit, while the white car's interior only registered 113. That's the difference you can feel. I'm telling you. And then, of course, the outside's even hotter, but inside, it actually changes the temperature of the car. So,
yeah.
But, let's not get it twisted. Okay? Black cars matter.
But I had a blue car with a gray interior, and that one was a lot nicer. But the other ones all had black, so everything inside.
I like black interior. I just don't want the outside of the car. I just don't want to be absorbing all the heat. So I typically try to get either a white car, maybe silver. I had, the seat was orange. So that was kind of weird. That was kind of like a burnt orange color, they call it.
It's just, you gotta tint your windows.
You do have to tint. Yes, tint is definitely.
That's illegal up here, of course.
Is it? Oh, that's right. Here. Yeah. You can't get up too dark. Down here in Texas, man, like people drive around with limos. Everyone's knows the law, but
patient pacification system
because they know why you're doing that.
Of course. I love this so much. Seen it all. Boom. Redneck engineering strikes again. Are you kidding me? This is fantastic. Well, it's two mowers that he welded together. So he made it. So instead of having, you got twice the cut, man. That's that's at least 52 inches of cut, right?
That also looks like an antique remote control.
No, that's exhaust. He just plugged it way out here. The white thing? No, that's just the other mower. No, honey. That's just the top of the mower. That's the cover. This thing right here is a pull cord. You wouldn't know what that is because you're a girl. How many times have you mowed the yard, Busy?
0.
Point made right there. Okay. So, anyway, you pull on this thingy.
How hard is
right here.
to ride around Dan? You don't have a big yard.
You gotta take this thing. You gotta pull on it, okay? First you gotta prime it.
I know what it is.
This thing is called this. Okay, we'll just call it the thingy. The thingy, pulling that one in starts this mower in. This one starts. And once you got both blades spinning, man, you just cut away. Damn. That's so cool. Although I kind of feel like I don't think it's gonna cut the grass.
Can you hear that?
Once you figure it out,
It's the sound of
blade on
laughing
this
at your
bar,
success.
I think you're gonna have you're gonna make a mohawk, and you're gonna have to come back and get that little part.
You can't.
Anyway, still not a bad
Because
idea.
an idiot would have found that trophy.
Blades closer, where they're almost touching. Hope your welding skills are good, my man. Someone used a snake as a weapon in a downtown Toronto fight. I hate to break the
Where was
that.
from?
I'm telling you right now. way to spin this. That's a black guy.
Oh my god.
Actually using his penis.
What the
No,
hell?
that's a snake.
Yeah. No.
Why you ask it? But he slapped me.
Where does it want me to go?
That's his junk. That's what's crazy.
No, they're not even that big, damn.
Okay.
That's a myth. A racist myth.
Alright, Old MacDonald was a fun playland. Old MacDonald.
Everything is so corporate now. No personality.
What flat earth or sea on a clear day?
Everything.
The pyramid. Yeah. Some skyline. We have Toronto. We got Statue of Liberty. Eiffel Tower. What is that? Oh, that's Sauron. Sauron, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is.
The eye. Oh, that's funny. Take that platter.
Well, obviously you can't see
Look who's finally turned up. The Dark Knight himself. How's it hanging, Beth? Got a little dilemma for you.
That flagging a little bit behind. Oh, he's using the one-eye trousers thing.
Isn't there a name for that? When you hit somebody with it?
I haven't heard that in years, man. This is so
You gonna
funny.
leave those two
Oh,
guys
dude.
hanging around all day? Wow, that's a nice toy you got there, Beth. Can I have one?
Okay. That's great.
I'm
When I was young, I was
Come
poor.
on, do something.
Years of hard work, and I'm no longer young. Oh. When someone says my partner instead of my boyfriend or my girlfriend, it's when I have to do this thing. Let me. Well, I'm trying to actually shoot. Like, that damn bar won't go away.
Oh, and now you have only 30 seconds to get out. Bye-bye.
We're trapped. He locked us in with a bomb.
Stupid. I don't know. Nope. That's not working. Oh shit, what I just do?
Just move the background banner thing.
Oh, somehow I just, hold on.
Bye-bye, Beth.
I'm just screwing everything up. Oh, let me stop
We're
sharing.
getting rusty, Dan.
Well, somehow I just created like, turned it into a collage. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to my settings here. It's called Windows 10, Dan. You know what? Back off, Fairland. That Windows 10. That makes people like.
Look who's finally turned up. The Dark Knight himself. How's it hanging, Beth?
It is so old that hackers won't.
Got a little dilemma for you. See those two guards up here? I know. How you gonna save them?
1 moment, please.
Don't fear. Let's keep Beth. Time to turn
Moving
on the
along.
lights. 2 minutes and counting.
This is a good
I
name,
could
but.
have hours of fun with a toy like that.
Doctor, this is your spine. Me, WTF. This bathroom.
What's behind there?
Bathroom with a glass floor over an abandoned elevator shaft.
Better hurry.
Yeah, you walk in and there's the toilet. And you gotta sit there and do your business. No. First off,
Probably. There's some
One
bad design.
contestant eliminated.
Man, I just can't believe. I'm not a big fan of. You know, they have those bridges that are made of glass. You walk on the glass, and walk out over a canyon. I am not. Ain't happening. I'm just like, I will be that guy. Where, you know what I'm saying? Where the one time where glass is gonna shatter or something. Oh God. Let's not forget, Keanu Reeves has rejected 6 millionaires' contracts with Marvel. Or 6 millionaire contracts with Marvel, but didn't turn down 2 requests to participate in the SpongeBob movie.
I wonder if he would play if he was.
How's it hanging, Babs?
Because they offered him 2 movies. I wonder if he was.
Nickelodeon, right? Me trying to find my place in this world. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's tough. You're probably somewhere. Just saying. I don't always eat steak, but when I do, it's because you're texting and I'm paying attention. That dog looks just like Toby. Got long hair.
It looks a little bit smudged, doesn't it?
It does.
You know, Puggy's speedy for a fat dog. He'll take something and you won't even be able to stop him.
You go to the rug over again. That's true. That one is so scary though, man. If that's real, God, man, I'm freaked out. Oh, and by the way, I'm not really happy about elevators. You know, we have them. But one thing I did learn about the elevators where I work, they're not, it's only 4 stories. So there's that. Okay, so we're not talking about really high shafts. But my elevator, did you know that it's a giant ram that lifts up the elevator? It doesn't have cables. I thought it had cables and shit. Like, we could always plunge to our death, like in the movies. But mine actually is a giant ram.
I think the ram would be safer, wouldn't it?
Oh, the ram is way safer. Oh, yeah. Because if it, there's no way you can fall. Because what would happen is, if, like, say, for instance, you lost hydraulic pressure, it would just slowly descend. It would just plunge to your death. So that's kind of cool. That's nice. I'm just telling you, that's a big relief for me. Because I'm a little freaky about it. And these elevators are always messing up and stuff. So, yeah. You know what's crazy is I have a key. So you send the elevator up, and then I have a key that you just turn it, and then you open the door, and then you can look down the shaft.
Oh, I would never
see everything.
Do that.
Oh man, it's freaky. It's so, because it just looks like a murder room, Fizzy. Elevator shafts are nasty. All kind of gunk down in there. It smells like hydraulic oil. Ugh, it's gross. Anyway, and then the light like flickers, like, you know. It's like, oh God, I'm not crawling down there. Hell no. And there's a stop button. But the thing is that's scary is like sometimes you have to still get down in the shaft and do stuff. But then the elevator's above your head. No. Dude, you couldn't pay me to do that job. Sorry. Too much. Alright. There's that. Great news. Thank you, Mr. So we're going to get into, what's next? Let's see.
News.
News. We're going to get into some videos. One thing I want to show you, who is a chick that cute? What's that chick's name?
And what's a throat goat?
What?
I'm going to show you this. This must have come up because of what we're talking about earlier. Sending you a picture real quick.
Like
see, even
goat.
the stuff that you say shows up on my phone.
Oh, God. I don't know if I need to see this. Hold on.
It's a new term I've never heard.
Only throat goat. Oh, come on. That did not show up in your feed. You found this.
You thought I looked for a
whatever. Oh my God.
I'll stop her and then her boyfriend.
Well,
yeah,
first
my
off,
phone listens.
Listen, I'll go try and
I'm
get
gonna
the
tell you,
ventilation
our
system
system
working.
in this
If you
world is
find it,
absolutely the
don't
most
go
demonic
easy
thing ever.
on
And I'll tell you why.
me.
It's right there. The hot and ready. First off, let's start with that. $5 pizza glizzy. What is a pizza glizzy? And then it, like, just look at this thing, and it says only for
No, I
throat
get it.
goats.
He saved our
It's a
lives.
hot dog with
That's all I need.
pizza around it, I guess.
This is so messed up. I mean, and yeah, and nobody's getting any visuals off of this. Really. I'm just never mind. I can't be the only
That
perv in here.
might not be that bad.
Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's
No,
bad.
I mean to
Believe
eat.
me. Huh?
To eat it, it might not be
Oh.
bad. Like,
Probably not. But just saying. Anyway, that chick, the one that was messing with Trump, said that he did whatever 30 years after the fact. Somehow they
her
found
story
him
makes
guilty.
no sense.
Yeah, well, you know what? I found. Here's a video of her. And you know how, he called her a whack job. Oh, well, you be the judge.
This may take a while.
I call it the mouse house because some very distinguished mice live here. Kahneman lives in the kitchen. Tversky lives in the bedroom. This is my shed. And on that side are the books that most influenced me growing up. On the door are the list of my dogs. Marky, Fortuna de la Spunky, Heidi, Tits, Bloody, and Hepburn. The streams and the rivers were dry. And it so horrified me that I came out and started painting the rocks blue to indicate that there was once a river here. And then after I got done painting the rocks, I just sort of walked over here and then did that tree and then did that tree and then I did this tree. And then pretty soon I'd done this whole forest.
Mescaline much? Damn. Just saying. Okay.
I painted the trees blue, so it used to be water. You just killed all those trees.
Oh, God. So, yeah.
That was one of my favorite quotes from the town hall was when Trump, you know how he does when he puts his hand out and he's like, she has a animal named Vagina.
Oh, yeah, I love that. She's got an animal named Vagina. The way he says it. I love the way he enunciates. Vagina. What did he say? She did something else. What was it? There was another example. She was married to a black guy who she called an ape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She probably painted him blue too.
This chick. Anyway, she's wacky. Anyway, here's the remaining of the video.
Oh my God! What's the best piece of advice I've ever given? What a horrible question. Asking advice on. Oh my God! Hang on. Eat, drink, and be married. That's it. That's my advice.
Maybe stop drinking. Get a car?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so supposedly when they met and incident happened, she was old years old. So like that. It's like none of it makes any sense.
Dude comes home, looks at his bank statement, and realizes $300 keeps disappearing out of his account every week. And apparently it's been taken out by his wife or girlfriend. I'm not sure who she is, but let's listen in.
With the $300 coming out my account, talk to me right now. If
I'm
you
just
are
helping
alive,
Dante while he's locked up.
Dante,
Yes.
your ex,
And my friend of 50 years.
Hold. First of all, why are you sending your ex $300 of my money every week, Yolanda?
He don't have nobody to help him right
That's a grown man. What the hell you mean?
Okay, and I'm his friend. If he needs my help, I'm gonna be there for him.
What do you need help with $300 a week for, Yolanda?
To survive.
Survive what?
In prison.
What the? Wait, what? Dante is You a felon. $300 a week of my money. Ain't nobody perfect, and you sure ain't good. Matter of fact, you ain't nothing at all to me no more. Why are you sending $300?
Right now. Why are you making a big deal out of this? What's the point of this?
Woman. You're scandalous. That's right. And I'm putting you on live. Everybody finna see this.
Well, all right. Since you want to make a show, whatever, bro.
No, I'm gonna make a real show.
Have the money, Chris.
What money? The money I have is for us. For us. I thought you loved me. That's why I proposed to you. That's why you got that ring on your finger. In fact, I don't even see it on your finger. What you do with that? Huh? Huh? You sending them money without the ring on your finger so you can feel single or feel like you ain't doing nothing wrong, Yolanda? Talk to me because I got that.
No, because I'm not.
No, you finna do this. You finna do this. You wrong for what you've been doing. Come on, let's get out of the house. Yolanda, I got this house. It's your job to make it a home. The only thing I ask for you is loyalty and respect. You can't even honor that. You don't make no meal. All you do is try to get yourself.
You knew that I didn't cook. You knew I didn't do none of that whole thing.
You doing TikTok all the time.
Oh my God. Alright, so there's a little bit more backstory than I thought. But dude, that chick was taking the dude's money and in jail.
Terrible.
I don't know how people can.
And he said it was a felony. Who knows what it, you know.
Right, he might. It's bad. But dude, first of all, let's be honest. Like, to pay rent in jail, like $1,200 a month, the dude's getting. He's making more money in jail than he probably made out of jail. Probably why he's a felon. I'm not. Allegedly. Anyway, wow. Damn. This guy, I thought this was interesting. I remember this is a long time ago. Dude was Larry McDonald. Larry McDonald died on flight 007. 007. Too long pin. Korean Airlines was shot down over, I believe it was Russia shot it down. Anyway, he was on that one. He died, interestingly enough. But let's listen to what Larry was saying in his last interview. Really weird. And this is back in the day when we didn't have much problem with left and right paradigm. There wasn't really a defined paradigm at that moment. People were pretty much on the, at least had the same ideas of both left and right. Not like today where somebody. But let's give it.
In this country that has dominated American society. Well, their objective is to try to bring about a gradual transition in our society, the dissolving of sovereignty, and a moving steadily to the left on the political spectrum. Who are they? The elitist groups that I mentioned, particularly key individuals and policymakers in the council. Monetary fund burn.
The interview you're about to watch is a perfect example of what happens when a politician steps out of line. Larry McDonald was a U.S. politician who served as a Democratic member of the U.S. House of Representatives from 1975 to 1983. He represented Georgia's 7th congressional district. Despite being a Democrat, McDonald was a conservative and a staunch opponent of communism. On September 1st, 1983, Larry McDonald was aboard Korean Airlines Flight 007. The plane, a civilian Boeing 747, was en route from New York City to Seoul, South Korea, with 269 passengers and crew on board. All passengers and crew, including Larry McDonald himself, perished in the crash. The circumstances surrounding the downing of Korean Airlines Flight 007 are controversial at best. Others call it a false flag attack. But one thing's for sure, this was the last interview he ever gave.
Mr. McDonald, I'm not a conspirator. I think even Buchanan would vouch for that. Well, you are Robert relations. Robert, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. Certainly. Well, let me just tell you what Newsweek says that the John Birch Society considers communism only one arm of a master conspiracy in which socialist American insiders are plotting world government.
Yes.
Now, he also says, and here's Director John McManus, your public relations director, saying that former Secretary of State Alexander Haig and CIA Director William Casey are two master conspirators who are plotting to establish world government. Now, what do you say? That kind of silly, asinine statement is what makes people laugh. That's what John Birch said. Well, Tom, I'm sure being a long-standing member of the Rockefeller apparatus and as a member of the Council on Foreign Relations of Longstanding, you're fully aware that there is an elitist core in this country that has seen value in subsidizing communism, of protecting communism. It has? Sure. You're accusing me of subsidizing communism? No, I'm saying because I happen to belong to there is an elite core. There is an elite core in this country that has dominated American society. Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations. Here's where they both. Well, let's face it, they've dominated the State Department for 40 years, and pretty much openly.
This guy.
You even told the other guys, nope, you're part of it.
Yeah, you're part of it, man. You're part of the same group, bro. What are you talking about? Yeah, we know what you are, Mason. Anyway, he's kind of funny because he kind of sounds like, like a sort of a watered down Alex Jones at this moment, You're like, well, you think there's a big conspiracy to control the world? And like before Alex, there's Mr. McDonald here. But Mr. McDonald, unfortunately, met his demise.
All right, but what are they trying to do? Well, their objective is to try to bring about a gradual transition in our society, a dissolving of sovereignty, and a moving steadily to the left on the political spectrum. Who are they? The elitist group.
Wow. Damn. This guy's way ahead of his time. Talk about some facts. Man, you feel it. They should have scrubbed this one. But it's funny when you look back at these interviews 20, 30 years ago, and they're, and you'll hear a person talking back, I don't care when it was, say 10 years after this, there were people like, oh, that guy was crazy, but now, here we go.
Groups that I mentioned, particularly key individuals and policymakers in the Council. Is the International Monetary Fund part of it? Well, I would say the International Monetary Fund has certainly been set up for the purpose of facilitating that transfer of sovereignty and transfer of wealth on the road. We elected Mr. Conservative to finish the point, because otherwise we'll have a lot of unanswered questions. That you are looking at a group that has worked to bring about the dissolution of national sovereignty on the road to world government. And certainly you're familiar with local Professor Carol Quigley, who has been part of your club, in which he admitted all this. And he said in his book, Tragedy and Hope, the only thing I disagree is it's important to keep it a secret. You see Arthur Schlesinger Jr. writing way back in 1947. Says, yes, this is the hidden policy of America. But we can't tell the American public because they're too unsophisticated to see the value. What is the instrumentality of world government? What is instrumentality? Let's see what you say about it. That's the silliest statement I ever heard. He never made anything like that. Well, let me suggest that you read the May-June issue of the Partisan Review of 1947, Tom. You can read it for yourself. It's called there was a conspiracy. A conspiracy. Oh, he didn't use communists. Oh, he didn't use the word conspiracy. He said the objective was to let me finish. I'll tell you. He said that the objective of the secret policy, which we can't tell the American public because they're not sophisticated enough to see the value, is that through a steady result of erosion of New Deals, we bring the American society steadily to the left, and through a fine concept of benign containment, we merge into the vital center of the socialist left. Those are his words, not mine. Let me ask you this. The World Federalist Movement in the post-war era contained a lot of people who eventually broke with it, and a lot of people thought the UN, in the post-war era, looked toward world government. Indeed they did, up until 48, 49. But a lot of them said, look, we were utopian, that's over and done with. We can't move. And a lot of them came in Kennedy's government. Schlesinger was in there when they were fighting in Vietnam, launched the effort in Vietnam. Schlesinger was behind the Bay of Pigs. In other words, look, isn't there some move that occurred in the post-war era that now has been dissipated because nobody believes in the utopian idea of world government anymore? Well, I think there are those that realize that moving straight from the prototype of the United Nations to world government perhaps is tactically impossible. But phasing out increasing national sovereignty into regional government and phasing out sovereignty into international the whole area, the whole movement towards interdependence. Yes. NATO is part of the conspiracy? Well, there are certainly elements in NATO. There are people in NATO that are very strongly dedicated to the defense of the West. But at the same time, you find in NATO a steady dissolution. You find a growing weakness. There's a NATO policy dominated by State Department policies that has not worked.
Well, it's a regional grouping, and I think therefore it may be suspect by the John Birch Society.
We're talking with Congressman Larry McDonald, who has recently been elevated to the chairmanship of the John Birch Society, succeeding Robert Welsh. We'll be back in a minute.
Congressman Larry McDonald, a Democrat from Georgia. Mr. McDonald, your predecessor believed that the PTA was too left-wing and that the John Birch Society at one time tried to infiltrate it, or so he said. He used the word infiltrate. Is that part of your program now?
Well, I think when the PTA comes out in this program for the test ban treaty, and when the PTA comes out for gun control, it comes out for obviously national legislative programs that have been linked with liberalism, having nothing to do with education of our children. People are wondering what in the world is the PTA doing.
Well, I wonder about you. I looked you up. You're the biggest joiner that I've ever seen in the world. You belong, as I counted them, 67 organizations, among which are the National Rifle Association, the American Pistol and Revolver Association, the Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, the Second Amendment Foundation, and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms.
Tom, I think there's a real drive in this country.
Man, he's like bashing him for what? For being a part of organizations that make him a good American? What the fuck? But you can kind of see how the news was kind of beginning to erode, right? But they weren't so blatantly, evil and lying to your face like they are now. And they weren't.
I like the old interviews because people were willing to talk about things. They didn't just shut you down. They're like, well, I don't know about that, but at least he's letting you talk.
It was like a real debate back when, when I was. This is the kind of news I got, and it was interesting when you have people like this guy with a totally different than what the mainstream was even at that time. It's he comes off as very articulate and knowing what he's talking about, and then fast forward 40 years later, look where we are, and you're like,
nowadays
there
when
were
you
people
put him on any platform out there.
And they did a good job. Maybe making their case. There's a little point at the end. Let's see.
To destroy the realization of our citizens that they have a fundamental constitutional right to keep and bear arms as the Constitution allows. And unfortunately, there are those in our society, including elements of the PTA nationally, not always locally by any stretch, but nationally, who would believe that the federal government should restrict the right of citizens to keep and bear arms.
Let me ask you about this conspiracy.
Well, you can take the issue of one of the major problems of this country is inflation, and the problems of the destruction of the dollar. And the fact of the matter is, in spite of promises to the contrary, Reagan has not moved to correct the deficiencies. We're now back to Keynesian.
Do you think that's
despite comments to the contrary?
Do you think that's a result of the conspiracy you mentioned? Is there somebody working on them to get the inflation so that this country will be weaker?
Well, as a man who campaigned against elitism, as a man who in his campaign rhetoric said that he would not be having the Council on Foreign Relations trilateral types dominating his cabinet, he's got about 250 members of such in his administration.
Let me ask you about Bill Casey. Now, I've known Bill.
Of the trilateral commission.
I've known Bill Casey.
In the administration.
I've known Bill Casey, the director of CIA since World War II. As a matter of fact, in World War II, he was my boss. Now, you're a public relations director of the John Birch Society. Says that Bill Casey is a part of this conspiracy.
Well, Bill Casey, before he became CIA, one of his big jobs was aiding in the transfer of technology and goods and so forth to the Soviet Union, helping the Kama River Project, the Export-Import Bank, helping to finance
the Export-Import Bank part of the conspiracy.
I think the drive that the fact that the American people have been tapped steadily, especially since World War II, to finance their enemies and to have the massive technology transfer. So I agree with you. Know that from the Brady Doctrine in the agency, which you're very familiar with. And the feeling that we must somehow subsidize the, quote, non-communist left. That's among our so-called allies. And in country after country, that turned out to be the communist, the crypto-communist masquerading.
Yeah, that's Mr. Mitterrand, who was taking the strongest position against the Russians of any Western European.
Well, he was about to lose everything at the polls, and he had to show some signs. It's very difficult to say exactly
McDonald, he's using the term conspiracy.
No, I didn't use it. For heaven's sake, Pat. The John Birch Society used it. Well, blaming on me. He used it.
You've used it 45 times.
That's right. They say this is a conspiracy. I want to know what the conspiracy is. I'm trying to find out who's in it and what agencies are government in it because I want to fight it along with you.
You look like...
Wait. As a man, a member of the conspiracy, he's a member of the press.
Let me ask you, he's used what the trade used for the 47th time the term conspiracy.
He's laughing now.
Let me ask you, seriously. When you use people like Casey, who was on the Council on Foreign Relations, David Rockefeller's Trilateral Commission, what do you mean, or do you mean, is that your term, the term conspiracy?
Well, there are many different levels of problem. But yes, the term has been used, the term of conspiracy. When you have a group of people...
I mean, they're actively collaborating, and at the other end of that point of collaboration are communists, and on this end of the point of collaboration is Bill Casey and Trilateralists and CFO.
You have people who are part of the elitist structure of this country that have dominated this country openly for 40 years.
I know, but they're not... Is that a conspiracy?
Wait a minute. If people quietly working together for evil objectives, two or more, that by definition is a conspiracy. You have by their own admission, you look at the Tragedy and Hope by Professor Carol Quigley, who's a member of this elitist group. He says, sure, we've been working. Sure, we've been collaborating with communism. Yes, we're working for a global accommodation. Yes, we're working for world government. The only thing I object to is that we have kept this secret. And I think we've gone so far along, we should come out and say,
I bet you dollar that Bill Casey doesn't know who Professor Quigley is. I don't.
Georgetown, a number of years ago.
He died a couple of years ago, and he wrote The Tragedy and Hope. He's a very noted member of your club, Tom.
Now, you've got a board there.
It's really more about conspiracy. That's why I'm interested in...
Well, I'll tell you what you ought to do is go back and look at your founder, Edward Mandell House, because he wrote the book Philip Drew his memoir.
If this dude had stayed alive, he probably would have been president. They probably looked in some sort of like crystal ball and was like, oof, we gotta get rid of this. They're like, man, if this guy gets in, he's gonna expose us all. So
He already did, and I wonder what the people thought when they heard this. They're like, oh, this guy's crazy.
A lot of people had these beliefs. A lot of people were very leery of the UN. Hell no. And that's what I'm saying. It's like only now with the indoctrination of the children today, where they're, they don't. I mean, look, I get it. It was too one-sided. It was too far over to one side when I was growing up. When I was growing up, it's like this. It was George Washington was the greatest human that ever lived. George Washington never told a lie. George Washington loves you. George Washington is your daddy. Like, okay, all right, a little too much. Now it's George Washington was a piece of shit who owned slaves. Yeah. That's how they do it now. There's no middle ground.
It's like it's cool to be part of the establishment. And in the 90s, we were all like, Rage Against the Machine. Now we're just like, the kids are like, oh my god, you don't follow the rules. You suck.
And that's the thing. It's like slowly but surely they were eroded. It always starts off with kids, but it seems like every generation has just gotten more and more like. More antisocial in a sense, right? So, the music has changed quite a bit, and every year you see, every generation anyway, you just see more of a push to mainly indoctrinate our kids. And nowadays, it's not even music. I mean, it's more like mind control.
It's like AI-generated noises.
Well, then you have people that are people always died at concerts. Usually it was from heat exhaustion and stuff like that, because there'd be 150,000 people in a concert, and it was, whatever. It happened. But it was never because there was demonic activity like at that one dude's concert last year in Houston. What was that guy's name? Help me, people.
I can't think of it.
I know, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. I don't really know him as an artist, honestly. But, when you have, this whole, even the stage and everything is set up, and it's the whole thing is all chock full of symbolism and demonic energy, and then you have, 9 people die. Travis Scott, thank you, Noise Speaker. That's where we are now, and that's accepted. And it's like the halftime show you know, it's like, oh yeah, we're all going to sit around and watch football. But by the way, you're going to get a 20-minute demonic, you know, fuck fest in the middle of the fucking, you know, sports game. Why? What happened to the, you know, the UCLA marching band? Like, see, it's just eroded, like, every, like, aspect of humanity around us. And now, like, it's been a slow erosion toward the point where we are now. And this is, like, this guy right here, this interview, you could see where people were saying something about it. And oddly enough, people like him, you know, I guess, met their demise in a very strange way. Anyway, let's go ahead and finish the rest. He's almost done.
Administrator, and they live. Colonel House said that what he envisioned for the world was a world government along socialist lines as envisioned by Karl Marx. Now, that's your leader, Tom, so you got to go back to the beginning.
Well, his leader was Woodrow Wilson. Do you think he was a communist?
Oh, I think Woodrow Wilson was his follower. I think Edward Mandell House dominated Wilson, not the other way around.
And so Edward Mandell House, that was, we ought to make that clear. He was President Wilson's
alter ego. That's correct.
Yeah. So he is the real villain from which all these conspiracies.
No. He is a major figure, but there has been, unfortunately, in the West, an element. There are good members in the Council on Foreign Relations, dedicated, patriotic people. You've had Sproul Braden, who was a member of the Council of Birchside, Bill Buckley, and Council on Foreign Relations. You've got some dedicated people, but the driving forces have very clearly been willing to collaborate, subsidize, work for technology transfer for what they feel is some type of an accommodation and merger. And I submit this would be a disaster for the American Republic.
Are there any encounters?
Sure. I disagree with Congressman McDonald's the idea of conspiracy with you and your friends. I think it's more of a herding instinct, the direction you've been moving in, inertia. I encourage you further and further, but I do think this. That slogan, get the U.S. out of the UN, and the UN out of the U.S. looks better and better every day, doesn't it? Maybe they were ahead of their time on that one.
No, Pat, I think we got to have communications with the world, and the UN makes me mad too, but I don't think it's a part of the great conspiracy which extends from Bill Casey and Al Haig all the way to communism.
Well, I think that Larry McDonald's a patriot. I think he's wrong about the conspiracy, but he's probably less wrong about what he says about this country than the guy I'm talking to.
So what do you think about this?
That was awesome. I'm sorry, I love that interview. Dang.
Yeah. Said one of the presidents had an alter ego. They all have some kind of... That was weird, I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, like, you know, the conspiracy behind that is like most of our presidents have all, you know, we're all talking about like voter manipulation and things like that happening right now. But I have news for you. It's probably been going on for a lot longer than just the last 4 years. And so, yeah, I mean, hell, I was really shocked when Bush won twice. Not that I really, you know, I voted for Bush the first time and then didn't the second time. I was like going for, well, the last guy who sounded like Mr. McDonald here was Ron Paul. He wasn't as conspiratorial, but he did talk about the push for world government. He was more about the monetary system and stuff like that, and he made a lot of sense. And there was another guy too. I don't know if you remember that guy, but who was it? He's on some. Ross Perot. That was a big one for a while. Ross Perot was huge, and he was doing so well, and then he just dropped out of the race. It was strange. And then I think, if I remember correctly, Ross Perot came back and said that he was threatened that if he didn't do it, you know, like something would happen to him and his family or something. I don't know, whatever. But I think if I remember correctly, he got back in, but like by that time he lost all his momentum. Like no one could trust him because he didn't, you know, stay in it and fight. But he was another person that was kind of talking a lot about the financial system and how, you know, we need to get this shit under control. And this was back in the 90s and stuff. And he was, you know, way ahead of his time. But none of these people, none of the real smart people who ever run for president ever get elected. You know, I mean, it's so strange. It always seems to be kind of the same type of folks. Now, people will say that Trump is really intelligent, and I've always been like, as far as Trump's policies and stuff, I feel like they're much better than Biden's, obviously. But I still say you have to hold his feet to the fire, and you have to be careful that you're not being deceived. That's all. Just saying. Like, I absolutely love the way Trump handles the press. I love the way he fights. It's very refreshing to see, but I still...
He does it with comedy, and then it comes out better, I think, than... They're sitting there yelling, and he's laughing and having a good time, so they look terrible, Yeah.
I don't know how to say, how to explain it. It's like, it's weird. It's so strange when I think of Trump, because I just... obviously, I voted for him. I voted for him twice. I expected him to win the second time. I really didn't think there was any way he was going to lose. And then, so I do believe that there was definitely some shenanigans. Now, this is the biggest problem I have, is whether or not you like him or I like him or whatever, if we don't have legit voting in our country so that the people can, quote, choose, and we can actually choose our president, then we have no control over anything. So that's just a big problem, both left and right. So, in saying that, I put my politics aside on that one. That's really the biggest issue. All right, so let's go back and look. What do we got here? Attorney. Attorneys for Lake, Maricopa County spar in court over ballot envelope signatures.
So she did an interview with Tim Pool, and she's saying that he is trying to play it down like, oh, her case is rejected, blah, blah, blah. But they have a ton of evidence, camera footage, and all kinds of evidence. So we'll see. I really doubt anything's going to happen, because it never does. But
it never does.
It's interesting to watch how they spin this around and be like, no, this is all fake. What's fake about it? You can see it on camera.
I shouldn't even say this, because it's probably getting me in trouble. But the only way, the actual reality that's being pushed out into our world, the only way that changes is it has to change if we can bring down the media apparatus. The media apparatus in its current form has to go. It's always funded by corporations and everything else. We don't have any real media, and so, we never know the truth, because both sides will spin things to, for their agenda, and depending on what side you're on, you'll see it. I've talked to many Democrats about stuff they listen to, and I understand why they believe what they believe, and I understand why I believe what I believe. So it's just like, but it's so goddamn divided. We just don't have anything right down the middle, giving it to us straight on both sides a lot of times.
I think the best non-biased one is the Sky News Australia.
Sky News, I mean, Russia Today sometimes has got good reporting. It's bad when you're going to like the Russian media outlet, for your news. But in all fairness, they've done a lot of. Now, sometimes they're not. I'm not saying they always are. It just depends. What they feel like reporting. What they feel like spinning. But I just feel like we really don't have control of this, and I think that it's really detrimental to all of us.
What's worse
never
is,
know the fact.
I mean, it's one thing to just report badly, but people think that whatever they say is fact. Like, people just blindly believe it. They're like, oh, well, CNN said this, so that's true. They're not going to look into anything else or listen to anything else.
Well, they do a good job of making their argument, like, against Trump or whatever. Not always. I mean, sometimes it's just ridiculous. Like, you're just like, oh, my God. But then sometimes you're like, I can just relate to what they're saying, because I remember when I was kind of moving away from the Republican side, because I saw so much going on with the way we were sort of nationalizing everything and going to war unnecessarily, and people were dying, and it was like basically the early 2000s were my, 1969, when I became more of an activist and anti-war person. And, I was like, this is absolutely wrong, and if I said anything at that time against the establishment, oh my God, the looks and the shame. I think Mandela effect was bad. Try telling somebody who was a patriot that the government was behind, the attacks in New York. You would have, man, dude, you want to talk about, like, you might have been a friend for 20 years. That was over. I lost a lot of people then. And that's fine. I knew the fight. So I knew that, 2003, when I started seeing everything, and I just started, the world started kind of, for me, it was like peeling off the layers, right? And I was just like layer after layer, and I kept getting deeper and deeper in this, and I was like, Jesus, man, there is some control apparatus here. Like what is going on? None of this is making sense. And then I started kind of, just looking at both sides of things, and then that's when I realized, like, holy shit, man, we are really in a bad way. And that's when I came to the conclusion that it's a truly spiritual battle that we face. And I think people are just demonically manipulated on levels because of their egos. And I think that sometimes they don't even realize that they may think they're in control of things, or they may think they want these things. Because inside of them, the force is so great to want to achieve these certain things and these goals that they set for themselves. But they may not be their own goals, is what I'm saying. There's other things unseen at play in many people's lives. But back to this. So we have, obviously, everybody thinks that there was something going definitely awry in Arizona. We'll play this clip. I hope you can hear it.
I've got a message for that twice convicted racist Katie Hobbs, who is currently a squatter in the governor's office. Don't get too comfortable, sweetie. We pay for these elections. We pay for Richard and Gates' salary. And they despise voters who question the honesty of our elections. They despise voters who wanted a forensic audit. And they took that hatred out on us on Election Day 2022. People cannot take this level of fraud much longer. Our republic can't handle it, guys. It's not about me. It really isn't. It's never been about me. I jumped into this. I guess I'm crazy enough to let some of you talk me into getting into politics. Thank you very much. It is about us, and it is about our children. They stole this election, and they counted on us giving up. They counted on us walking away. They counted on us saying this fight is just too hard, or this fight is too expensive, or this fight is too stressful, or this fight is too unbearable. And I know we've all had those thoughts. I can't be the only one who had those thoughts, right? It has been tough. But you know what's even harder, more stressful, more expensive, more unbearable? Giving up this country and losing this country.
I think Carrie sorry.
A lot of people want her to be the vice president. But I'm just...
Oh, she would be a good vice president. You know what scares me is that because, the Biden administration has really showed their hand in kind of like what they want to do. Their open border policy, the bankrupting of our country, the funding of goofy wars between Russia and...
You okay?
I'm losing my mind. Russia and, who is it? Ukraine. Thank you. I was going to say, I don't know why I was thinking Ukraine. So we have all these, these needless things that we're finding. And so people see this and they're like, and they feel exactly what she said. She was like, our country just, our republic, just can't, can't keep doing this. We're just not going to have a republic left. So then you're going to just basically force people into, I feel like they're going to just be afraid of what's going to happen in 4 years after that. So, of course, there's going to be this rush to put all these restrictions and powers in place so that it stops that movement. But in turn, I feel like it could very well also limit our freedom. You know what I'm saying? We could actually be like hoping for one thing and literally get a different result. So we have to really be careful that we're not, that we do the right things. Like, transparency in the voting realm and, maybe better media, things like that. But if we're not careful, we could literally become, like, we could force ourselves into, like, our own totalitarian hell. Because we are too afraid that the other side will then take over and then it'll be back to what we just saw for the last 4 years. And, like, everyone's losing their shit over what they're doing to, and I get it. Like, nobody wants drag queen story hour to the kids. Nobody wants homosexual literature being taught, being in libraries, like all this terrible stuff. And then, but I'm just saying, we have to watch it because, like, we could literally do it to ourselves. And so, yeah.
Well, at this point, they can't really have transparency because no one would believe it even if they told them. They're kind of stuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Quan. Right. Again, this is the thing, is like, the way I see the way they work is they kind of like, all this stuff is happening right now, this despicable shit, I'm telling you. And like, then, can you feel it? You guys know what I'm talking about? That energy, that fear, that worry, that, oh my God, like, if we got another 4 years of this administration, where we would be? You guys really worry about it? I do. Are you willing to, like, I feel like there's so many people that are just not thinking, right? That are more reactive than me, that are willing to do things like, get rid, the South shall rise again, pick up your gun, that kind of thing, right?
Well, they say
I have my darkest feeling, like, with all this is like literally they start, like, taking people that were, on that side and in a certain group, and they line them up and they literally start shooting them. And like, literally it comes to the point where our hearts all wax so cold we don't care. That's where I'm afraid that we might be going. You see what I'm saying? That's where they're trying to force us, because they're trying to, like, in a sense, they are kind of dehumanizing each other. But I'm afraid we would become so dehumanized because we're so angry over what's taking place, and we're fearful of that world, that we would do something really brash to make sure it doesn't happen. You see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's the kind of, like, levels I'm at. So I'm just like, man, I don't know. I'm just like, dude, we got to be careful, because, like I said, we're always being played, man. We're always fucking being played here. So just watch it.
Well, they said that if there is another civil war, it's most likely going to be cities versus rural people. Because, I mean, you can look at the map and see the values and the difference between the people. And I'm kind of worried, like, they're closing all these stores in the cities. And where are they going to go for food? They're going to come after our food. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just going to spread out.
And think about it, too. Like, that's beautiful. They're closing all the stores. Again, food, clothing, everything. They want everything to be online anyway, so they can track your purchases. Then they can control you by the digital currency, because once there's no cash, you won't be able to buy anything. Food, clothing, stuff, supplies. You know what I'm saying? You'll be tracked 100%. Like, man, damn it, man. This is so bad. We're in such a bad time right now. Like, if I'm really being honest, like, it's terrible. And that's what I'm saying. this is a time, you just gotta pray. You just gotta it's kind. I mean, really, only Jesus can save us at this point. We're done. I mean, this is the point where it's gonna get to a point where in the Bible, you can read about it yourself. The world descends into a global government. Is there going to be a moment where somebody pops up and says, "I am the Antichrist"?
It's Prince William.
People think it's Barack Obama. People think it's
I don't like to know.
It's Charles. Some people think it's Charles.
Now Charles is going to die very soon, and Prince William's going to take up. But I do have something positive I want to share before I forget.
Oh no! What? What do you got?
Well, it's good. I sent you a picture.
Okay.
It's for Mother's Day.
Oh. There's a guy predicting that it's going to be the far right that brings in some strict law. Yes, Quantum. Yes, because it's I'm telling you, people are going to lose their damn minds once they're going to act like, man, we got 4 years to correct this shit. We're going to just a little bit.
Drill, baby, drill is what he said.
Drill, baby, drill. I'm just telling you, man, there's too many problems, and that's what I'm saying. We've reached the point of no return, so now we have to, look to a higher power. I mean, humanity can't save each other. So, yes.
Hug your angel bear and don't give up on hope.
I'm not giving up on hope. I'm being really hopeful. I'm just telling people don't get caught up in that energy of negativity and fear and hatred. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Okay. All right. What do you got for me? Did you send me something?
I sent you a picture of my mom.
Of your mom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's cute.
Mm-hmm.
It's after the celebrities go to Mars, Dan.
Oh. There's Mom. Okay.
Okay, so this was really funny to me because she had such bad luck with plants. You can see the other flower. So she was so happy that she had a flower that was...
Okay, you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll be back tomorrow with another stream probably. So yeah, you guys have a good one.